The message arrives at Pharaoh's palace in the dead of night. Ships, hundreds of them, an enemy no one can identify. They've already destroyed the Hittites, the most powerful military empire on earth, gone in 3 months. Egypt has 6 weeks to prepare for an invasion that has never failed. This is not mythology, this happened, and we still don't know who they were. The year is 1177 BC. The Bronze Age is about to end in blood and fire, but the attackers aren't a known enemy. They're not Assyrians, not Babylonians, not any civilization in the historical record. Ancient Egyptian texts call them the Sea Peoples. That's it. No origin, no homeland, just a name for the force that's about to collapse the entire Mediterranean world. Here's what makes this terrifying. These weren't random raiders. The Sea Peoples attacked with coordinated naval invasions across thousands of miles. They had bronze weapons, advanced ships, military tactics that overwhelmed professional armies, but we have no archaeological evidence of where they came from. No capital city, no monuments, no grave. It's like they appeared from nowhere, destroyed everything, then vanished. The Hittite Empire falls first. This is the superpower that fought Egypt to a standstill for generations. Their capital, Hattusa, housed 40,000 people behind walls 20 feet thick. The Sea Peoples burn it to the ground. The fires are so intense that stone melts. Archaeologists can still see the scorch marks today. The Hittites don't just lose, they disappear from history entirely. No successor states, no refugees, nothing. Then the dominoes fall. The kingdom of Ugarit, gone. Cyprus, gone. Every major coastal city from Anatolia to Syria burns in the same 50-year window. Mycenaean Greece collapses. The great palaces at Mycenae and Pylos are abandoned. Writing itself disappears from Greece for 400 years. This is the historical Dark Age, a mystery wrapped in an apocalypse. But here's what the textbooks don't tell you. The Sea Peoples don't attack random targets. They hit trade centers, bronze production sites, grain storage facilities. They're systematically dismantling the economic infrastructure of the Bronze Age. This isn't mindless destruction. It's strategic, calculated, which raises a darker question: who planned this? Egypt survives, but barely. Pharaoh Ramesses III faces the invasion at the Nile Delta. His scribes record everything. The enemy arrives in massive ships with high prows and sails. They're accompanied by ox carts full of women and children. This isn't a raid, it's a migration. An entire civilization on the move, destroying everything in their path to make room for settlement. The Egyptian records name them: the Peliset, the Tejeka, the Shekelesh, the Denian, 5 different groups moving as one coordinated force. Some historians think these might be early Greeks or Anatolians displaced by famine. Others point to mysterious references to northern lands beyond the sea. But here's the problem: not a single one of these names matches any known civilization from the period. We're reading the records of Egypt's greatest military crisis. And the enemy is completely unknown. The Battle of the Delta is Egypt's last stand. Ramesses stations archers on the riverbank. He positions ships to block the channels. When the Sea Peoples fleet enters the Nile, they sail into a kill zone. Egyptian arrows rain down from 3 sides. The invasion fleet is shattered. Bodies clog the water. According to the pharaoh's monuments, it's a total victory. Egypt is saved. But the monuments are lying, or at least not telling the whole story. Yes, Egypt wins the battle, but within a generation, Egyptian control over trade routes collapses, the economy implodes, workers go unpaid, the government can barely function. The Bronze Age system that fed 3 civilizations for 500 years is broken. Egypt survives as a state, but its golden age ends here. The Sea Peoples didn't need to conquer Egypt. They destroyed the world that made Egypt powerful. So where did they come from? Every archaeologist has a theory. None of them can prove it. But in 2019, researchers found something in the ruins of Hattusa that changed everything. A clay tablet, burned, fragmentary but readable. It's a letter from the king of Ugarit to the king of Cyprus, written weeks before Ugarit falls, and it's terrified. The enemy ships are already here, 7 of them. They have set fire to my towns and done great damage in my land. My troops are stationed in the Hittite lands. My ships are still in Lycia. The country is abandoned to itself. Read that again. The king's army isn't home. They're fighting in Hittite territory. His navy is deployed elsewhere. The Sea Peoples didn't show up randomly. They knew exactly when to attack, when defenses were weakest, when armies were scattered across the empire fighting other wars. This wasn't opportunistic raiding, this was intelligence, reconnaissance, planning. Which means someone was feeding them information. Someone inside the system knew troop movements, knew when fleets were deployed, knew which cities were vulnerable. The Sea Peoples had help, and that's when the theories get interesting. Here's what we know from tree ring data and ice core samples. Starting around 1200 BC, the worst drought in 3,000 years hits the eastern Mediterranean. 3 consecutive years of crop failure, famine spreads, but famines don't create coordinated naval invasions. Starving refugees don't build fleets and attack in formation. Something else is happening. The tin supply collapses at the exact same time. Bronze Age empires run on tin. It comes from 2 places, Afghanistan and Cornwall, Britain. The trade routes are thousands of miles long. One disruption and the whole system breaks. No tin means no bronze means no weapons. The empires can't rearm, can't pay their mercenaries, can't maintain their professional armies. Suddenly, the greatest militaries on Earth are fighting with whatever they can scavenge. But here's where it gets dark. The Sea Peoples have bronze, lots of it. Egyptian records describe their weapons in detail: bronze swords, bronze-tipped spears, bronze armor on their ships. While the empires are running out, the attackers are fully equipped. Where did they get it? Some historians think they were mercenaries. The empires had been hiring foreign soldiers for generations, teaching them Egyptian tactics, Hittite siege warfare, Mycenaean naval strategy. What if those mercenaries decided they didn't need masters anymore? They already knew how the system worked. They knew the weaknesses. They knew when to strike. And they had the one thing the empires were running out of: bronze. The Hittites fell because their own soldiers turned on them. The Mycenaeans collapsed from internal revolt. Egypt barely survived because Rameses paid his troops. The Sea Peoples might not be invaders from outside. They might be the inside of the system, rising up. But then why erase their past? Why leave no records, no monuments, no stories of the homeland? Unless they didn't want anyone to know. Unless the truth was dangerous. Unless the entire Bronze Age collapse was an inside job, and the survivors spent 3,000 years making sure no one could prove it. The Sea Peoples didn't just end the Bronze Age. They ended the world system that made civilization possible. International trade, written diplomacy, professional armies, all of it collapses in 50 years. The Mediterranean enters a dark age that lasts 3 centuries. When civilization re-emerges, it's completely different. Iron replaces bronze. Alphabets replace syllabic scripts. City-states replace empires. The ancient world dies, and something new is born from its ashes. And we still don't know their names. The greatest military campaign in ancient history, the coalition that killed empires, the force that reset human civilization. They're ghosts in the historical record, fragments in Egyptian inscriptions, echoes in archaeological destruction layers. The Sea Peoples came, they conquered, they vanished. And 3,000 years later, we're still trying to figure out who they were. That's the mystery, not just what happened, but who made it happen. Somewhere in the ruins of Hattusa, or the ashes of Ugarit, or the flood deposits of the Nile Delta. The answer is waiting. Maybe it always will be.